I'm going to do some painting with coffee. All you need to do is, for a simple project, get a template or a stencil, trace it on some watercolor paper. You have handy a coffee mixture that's a thicker coffee that's just made with instant coffee. And you put it on a palette just like regular watercolor. Okay, I am going to add a little water to outline very lightly, just so I can see where the color is. Get the wiggle lines in there. And it doesn't dry real fast on watercolor paper, so you have to be patient. That's why I did one ahead of time, so you can see what it's going to look like, because it's a good 2 or 3 hour process. So you just put on a light color, just like watercolor. Each layer is going to be a little bit darker. You let it dry, add another layer, let it dry, add another layer. But the fun part is when you're adding your layers, while it's a little damp, you can get a nice bleeding effect if that's what you're looking for. And because I'm doing a butterfly, I'm kind of stroking in the direction of what the wings might look like. I'm just doing this kind of quick. Don't try this at home. Take your time. As it's drying, you can go in and near the edges, get a little bit darker. Now while I'm doing this, I'm going to note that when the coffee dries, it does get a little sticky. So there are a couple things I discovered on my own how to help avoid the stickiness. So anyway, you can see that I've added some layers, and then you can just, while it's wet, drop in some color. Just kind of like a butterfly would have some dots and little lines around it. At the bottom. And as I said, I'm just kind of doing this quickly so you can see how it looks. Okay. Okay. And you keep adding a little bit as you want. Rinse out your brush. Don't let it stay in there too long. So that's what it looks like. I can't lift it up because it's all sloppy. But here's one I did yesterday with different layers and let it dry. If you can see that. Okay, now here is the trick. It's tacky. You can see it's kind of tacky. So I discovered I'm not a big fan of the smell of coffee. So I got some cocoa powder. I do love the smell of cocoa. So I got a stencil brush that's here somewhere. Okay, here it is. Okay. And get your cocoa powder. Put some down. And stencil it around. And it will stop the stickiness. You can even rub it with your fingers a little bit. Kind of work it in there. And I'm going to cut this butterfly out so it doesn't matter if it goes outside the edges or gets a little dusty. Then shake it off. Voila. Not sticky anymore. And here's what I like to do. I have an example of one I've done with just regular acrylic paint with the butterfly that I cut out and added a little dimension to it. I glued it down just in the middle so you can have a dimensional butterfly. If you can see that. Kind of crooked, but that's how, there you go. See, it's raised like that. Okay, so that's painting with coffee. Hope you enjoyed that and hope you go home and play with some coffee.